listening to an Iraq Currency Watch podcast. Here's Marcus Curtis and Sam I Am.
Welcome back to the Iraq Currency Watch podcast. I am here with my guest, Sam I Am, and we've been talking about all kinds of interesting things, haven't we, Sam?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, and some of it's a bit painful.
Yeah, painful memories. I get that. But let's get right to the main question on everyone's mind. Sam, what is your real name?
Joe Smuckatelli.
No, really, what is your real name?
Do you remember Joe Smuckatelli?
I don't remember Joe Smuckatelli.
Mad
no.
Magazine. It was a fake name.
Oh, well, Alfred Newman would have worked too.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that one. No, actually, you know my name, Marcus. You and I have been friends for many years. My name is Rod Saunders. I was the director of the Tulsa Guitar Society, and I'm a professional guitarist. Marcus also is a professional guitarist, and he was one of our members in the society for several years before either one of us heard of the Dinar. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, I learned about the Dinar from Marcus. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad I could help.
And here's the story in a nutshell. I go into a lot more detail in the book, which I guess you're going to tell people about the book that.
Yeah, this is the next segment. I can edit this part out, but okay, go ahead.
Okay. But I started off just with 750,000, and then I started going to the blogs and forums and so forth and reading more, and I got more excited and I bought more and more, and then after a year and a half I did my due diligence, and I said I don't think I told you at that point. I think I told Chuckles at that point that I didn't believe in it anymore. Right. But when I started going to the forums, the one that I joined was Dinar Vets. Mm-hmm. And I became known as Mr. Rich. Mm-hmm. And eventually got banned from Dinar Vets.
One of the many.
As Mr. Rich. Yeah. And
now you were a mod too, right? I
was a mod at that time. I was only a nighttime mod. I just told them, I'm up late at night a lot. So if you want somebody to be a mod at night, I'll volunteer to do it, because there usually wasn't a moderator after midnight and people would, get out of control. So they made me a mod, and I think they regret that.
Yeah, I think they do too. Now you left when Scooter left.
Shortly after Scooter left, there was a big blow up because Scooter was treated disrespectfully.
Yes, he was.
So I didn't care for the way that it was handled, and Adam Montana told the mods, either back me up on this or resign. So I said, well, I can't support what you did, so I'm going to resign. Right. And then shortly after I resigned, I was banned. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the point is, I was Mr. Rich there, and then I went over to Dinar Dater as Mr. Rich. Mm-hmm. And when I told Chuckles I didn't believe in the investment anymore, I asked him if I could come clean, because I didn't want people there at Dinar Dater thinking that I believed in it when I didn't, because I was a fairly visible mod there. Mm-hmm. And so I did a post, and I said, basically, I'm going to fade off into the sunset.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you know how we got our Bible? Are you a Christian who needs a better understanding of Bible doctrines? Would you like to be better prepared to respond to atheists, agnostics, or people who reject the authority of God's Word? JewandGreek.com is a Christian apologetics site designed to help believers to equip themselves in defending their faith. With dozens of links to Bible study resources, the history of the church and the Bible, and hundreds of pages on denominations, cults, and Christian theology in a charismatic-friendly environment, Jew and Greek will provide you with all that you need to fully establish yourself in the essential truths of God's Word and prepare for spiritual warfare. The Bible tells us to study to show ourselves approved unto God. So visit JewandGreek.com today and get informed.
The Word of Faith movement has impacted Christianity like few movements in the history of the church. And yet it is one of the most misunderstood and misrepresented movements as well. To help people learn more about the truth of Word of Faith teaching, Rod Saunders has written an exhaustive book on the subject entitled Defending the Faith, Word of Faith Apologetics. Based on his extensive history in the movement and over 30 years of research, Defending the Faith addresses many of the misconceptions that people have concerning things like confession, physical healing, the atonement, and financial prosperity. Now available at Amazon.com's Kindle publications, Defending the Faith takes on the often misleading rhetoric and assertions of opponents of the faith message with a balanced scriptural approach to these subjects and more. Don't be misled. Get the other side of this story from someone who's been there. Defending the Faith, available today at Amazon and your favorite ebook retailers.
Hey, guitar players! Do you have the basic guitar skills down? Are you an intermediate player that wants to increase your skills? Do you want to increase your knowledge of music theory? Then head over to Marcus Curtis Music and take the free guitar lessons. With over 50 videos and an expanding library of resources, you will be amazed at how far you can advance. Check out the free chord guide and the video series called Learn 120 Bar Chords. Check out the free scale guide and the video series called Create Your Own Guitar Solos. Level 3 of Advanced Guitar Lessons will give you a background on music theory. There is no account to create and no email address required. No credit cards or information of any kind is accepted. These lessons are truly free with no strings attached, so check them out today.
You're listening to an Iraq Currency Watch podcast. Here's Marcus Curtis and Rod Saunders.
And in order to do the blog as a different persona, I needed a new name. And I thought, because there were certain people who knew who Mr. Rich was.
Right.
And I knew I was going to make a lot of people mad.
And you did.
And yes, I made a lot of people mad.
We would tell just by the subpoenas.
From the subpoenas, yes. So I thought, well, I need a new persona. I don't want people to know that's Mr. Rich because there's some people out there who know Mr. Rich's real identity. So I created Sam I Am. And Sam I Am, Mr. Rich was kind of a nice guy. He was a bit skeptical, but he wanted to believe and he wanted to encourage people, but he also wanted to keep people grounded. But he was kind of a nice guy, Sam I Am was kind of an in-your-face, antagonistic guy. But I had to take on that persona to, expose these people.
Right.
I mean, once I realized this was a scam, I knew the people promoting it were scammers.
Right.
And I wasn't sure what I was dealing with. I didn't know if there was organized crime behind this or if there were hardened criminals. I wasn't sure what I was dealing with. After a couple of years, it was pretty clear that I was just dealing with a couple of, I won't say a couple, but a lot of small time con artists.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're organized crime, hardened criminals. No, but anyway, I want to remain anonymous as long as possible, and so I created the Sam I Am persona to accomplish the purposes, that I created the blog for, to expose people and wake people up to the fact that now I wasn't really convinced at first when I started the blog. I wasn't convinced that there was no money to be made. I thought you could still double or triple your money. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I came around to seeing that you're lucky if you get out of this thing with any money at all.
Right.
But it took me a while to catch on to that. But I knew that the get-rich-quick thing was a scam.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so I wanted to get people, I wanted to wake up the Dinar community to that fact and start exposing people. And I got educated as I went. There were people who came to my blog and did commentary that had been trying a lot longer than I had to wake people up.
Right.
But they just didn't have a blog. They didn't have a platform like I had. But I learned a lot from people. People like Dave D and JRG and Brian. Brian Simpson.
Same here. I mean, the readers of our blogs are so intelligent. John Galloway, JRG, Brian, these guys, man, they know their stuff. They really do. I have nothing but the utmost respect for these guys. I learned a lot from them as well. So these guys are awesome. So we were blessed to have really good people in the commentary, and I remember who wandered into your commentary one day and started debating people.
Oh, I had a couple of people. Norstay was the big one.
Norstay, that's the guy I'm thinking of. He was stupid enough to go in there.
Well, I said something about him in my monthly update. I said something about, I think I gave him a douchey or something like that, and he came in to defend himself, not realizing that he was going to end up running the gauntlet. And I just kind of sat back and let the regs, beat up on him.
Yeah, that was amusing to watch. I read through that whole thing.
But also, Southwest Florida guy, rest his soul, he came in one time and defended himself against some things that people were saying, and but it wasn't nearly as big of a blow up as a Norstay. Yeah. And actually, a Norstay came in twice.
Right. The Southwest Florida guy, he contacted you, right?
Yeah, he wrote me an email. After he came in, and there was this, little back and forth between him and a few of my regular readers. He sent me an email, and it's kind of sad and surreal. But he sent me an email, and he thanked me for being fair and editing something that I had written about him. I went back and I made a clarification. I said he doesn't believe this stuff anymore, so bear that in mind. And I took down some stuff that I had, and he thanked me for that. And he says, I really agree with you on a lot of stuff, and I've learned a lot from you, and I'd like to start a correspondence with you. And I said, well, that's fine. And I didn't hear back from him, and I found out that just a couple of days after he had emailed me, he had passed away.
Yeah, it was sad. Yeah.
Which it really startled me, He was so young.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked him. I always liked him. It's just
I didn't agree with him. I didn't either, understand where he was coming from. But compared to some of these guys, he was an altar boy.
Yeah, he's actually a good person. I think he's probably was the one that would probably find the truth eventually. I don't know.
Maybe he was affiliated with a forum that was making money, and so that complicates matters. As well, you weren't making money, but it's difficult when you have a following.
Yes. To
turn around and say everything I told you, forget it.
Right.
You know, that's a difficult thing to do.
It's not just a money thing. It's an eating crow thing. I ate a lot of crow, and I made a lot of people angry at me. I mean, a lot of people. And I'm not just talking about people who read the blog, but I lost personal friends, and family members were upset with me, and still are upset with me to this day, because I was the one that led them to the dinar. And so it's not one of those things. I mean, I feel the effects of it even today. So it's it's hard to stand up for the truth and what's right. It's especially if you're one of the ones that are wrong. It's not an easy thing to do. But I think it's important to note that I had nothing to do with your blog, and you had nothing to do with my blog during this whole time.
Right. Even though we knew each other, it's funny how the whole thing happened. Because you told me about the dinar, and I started reading your blog, and so I went out and bought some, and then I joined Dinar Vets, and you were never really that involved at Dinar Vets.
No.
I think I sent you something one day.
Later on, I got involved, yeah.
I said, hey, Marcus, somebody copied and pasted your latest blog post into Dinar Vets, and so you went over there and joined so that you could make a comment. But you never were that active. I was very active there. I was one of the main posters there.
Right.
But as you started to I don't know if you lost interest or you just you got busy with your work and family or whatever, but you were not as involved. I started spending a lot more time with Chuckles, and Chuckles and I were talking a lot around that point. And then I started doing this research and discovered that it was a scam. And I told Chuckles, I'm going to start a blog and I'm going to expose this thing. And you and I were not talking that much at that point.
No. As I recall, I was making up for all the overtime that I missed out on because I was waiting for the revalue. Once I figured out it wasn't going to happen, it's like, I better sign the overtime book. So it's time to go back to work.
So you had nothing. You had nothing to do with my blog. Your blog at that point was still pro RV.
Yeah, and I wound up actually closing it down and moving over to another site, then moving it back when I found out the truth and opening it back up again.
Right, but everything that happened with my blog and your blog, it was totally independent.
Right, until now.
But eventually, when we both saw through this thing, we started helping each other, with research and so forth. It just worked out that way, but it was never anything that was orchestrated where we were going to do a tag team debunking or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even talking to you because I didn't want to get in an argument with you about it. And then eventually I found out that you felt the same way that I did, so I wasn't afraid to talk to you about the dinar anymore. Chuckles, I think from the point that I caught on, Chuckles was pretty much coming right along with me. I was sharing all of my research with him. He was always a little bit skeptical. What's the reason Chuckles kept getting kicked off of different dinar boards?
Yes.
He kept asking difficult questions, and they labeled him a troublemaker.
Then he started his own Dinar Dater site, and Chuckles was actually the third guy in our team here.
Yeah, he was.
So he was a very important person to have around because he had an IT background, and I found a lot of WikiLeaks documents that he sent me, and man, the information I had was incredible. I mean, from the embassy in Iraq talking about the dinar and what it was doing, and it was just amazing to me. And I posted all this stuff on the site, and I quoted things like Iraq doesn't have any foreign investment laws regarding their currency or their banking structure. Other countries do, So all this stuff that
that was the one that got Chuckles. Like your eureka moment was the Kuwaiti dinar. Mine was the definition of redenomination. But I remember Chuckles telling us that his eureka moment was the CBI law.
Right.
About it was for in country only, and when he saw that, he said, "Well, that's it. We're screwed."
Yep, yeah. But what's interesting is not the CBI laws, but the government laws that Iraq has involving investments. There's certain areas that people.
So it was a government. It wasn't just the CBI.
It wasn't a CBI log, yeah, and it was the American embassy commenting on this in the official document, but it surfaced in a WikiLeaks. So I took the quote, and you can still find it on the site. I took the quote and I pasted it, but the document has since been removed. I still have the quote up there. I haven't removed it, but I don't have the supporting link anymore. I don't know if it's been moved. I don't know how the WikiLeaks thing works, but they basically said that, as the currency was leaving, that's how I was able to trace the path of how the currency left, was through these WikiLeaks documents. It was all going to Jordan, and from Jordan it was going to Ireland, and from Ireland it was going all over the world. That's how most people got the dinar. That was the exit point. Now, some left through Dubai and other means, but the majority of the dinar left that route. And
that's WikiLeaks. That tells you that.
Yeah.
And you see, it's kind of hard to come up with any scenario where WikiLeaks is part of some government or government conspiracy.
Right.
WikiLeaks was exposing stuff about the government.
Exactly. So. It was interesting to read all of that, and Chuckles found a lot of those documents and sent them to me. And he was a really good researcher. And
I learned a lot about research from him.
Mm-hmm.
Archive.org, which was called the Wayback Machine.
Right.
He told me about that, and Google Cache, where like you were talking about, a lot of those documents or a lot of those links.
Mm-hmm.
You went back and they were gone.
Right. I could probably find them now if I wanted to really look for them, but I don't really care anymore.
If you go through the Wayback Machine, Chuckles found a lot of stuff through the Wayback Machine. And of course, he was a Microsoft certified systems engineer. He knew a lot about, about the internet, about networks, IP addresses, and all kinds of intricate things that helped him find things. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how involved Chuckles was in my research.
Right. You're right. Mine too. And we worked off of each other. I'd find something, I'd share it with Chuckles, and I'd share it with you. You'd find something, you'd share it with me and him. And so we just kind of fueled the fire, the three of us. And we had a lot more in common than people know. I mean, all of us have computer backgrounds. Yeah. And all of us are play acoustic guitar, and we've played classical music. And Chuckles was formerly trained classical guitarist as well. So we talked about many different things, not just the dinar,
Right.
So we had a lot of different things we'd go over, and we like tech stuff, so we talk about that as well. That's my main conversations with Chuckles is IT and tech. And then the dinar would surface on occasion. I think he had most of his dinar conversations with you, and with me it was all politics and tech and IT stuff and classical music. So
right. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Chuckles passed away, I think about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was 41 years old. He had some sort of a ulcer issue that caused a sudden death situation. It was really difficult for me because I was so used to talking. I'm sure Marcus too.
And me too. Yeah, it was a hard time for us both.
Because we had both talked with him so much about a number of things, and so that's the reason we're talking about him in the past tense. Is unfortunately we lost him a year and a half ago.
He was a really good friend. And I sent him stuff in the mail. He sent me stuff in the mail, and it's just I still feel the loss till this day. I mean, he got close to both of us. Mm-hmm. So
his dad grew up with Charlie Emenecker and Brad Hubner from the BH Group.
Yeah, that's right.
His dad grew up in Toledo with those guys,
I forgot about that.
That's how he got started in the investment. Was his dad turned him on to it, and after they kind of cornered him and told him, you got to get in on this thing. You got to get in on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be huge.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's huge, all right.
It is huge, but it's not gonna benefit any of the investors.
Yeah.
But anyway, he told Chuckles about it, and then Chuckles bought, I think, a couple of million, something like that. And he bounced around from one place to another until he got banned from People's Dinar, I think it was.
Yeah.
and then that's how you met him.
I met him through People's Dinar, and then the People's Dinar banded me too. Steve I banded me about 3 times. That's the only time, and I
think he must hold the record for the most.
He's got to. You know, and I've never been banned for being popular before. I've been banned for not going with the program, but I was with the program back then, and I was banned because too many people commented to me or liked my post or whatever, and I was banned for that. I was like, well, that's really odd. And then he would unban me, and I'd go back. And then he would ban me, and then he would unban me.
He's an odd duck.
He is. After the 3rd time, I decided, you know what? I'm done with this. I don't even care what they talk about anymore. I'm not gonna go there.
So Chuckle started his own site called Dinar Dater, and then you ended up over there.
Right, but Chuckles modeled his site after People's Dinar. He did the same software. So when you went into Dinar Dater, it looked just like People's Dinar. And that was his way of making fun of People's Dinar, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he modeled it exactly like People's.
I remember he had they had this big scandal over somebody making a sexual reference to a pickle.
And that's why...
So, all these people had pickle in their name.
Yeah, all these people had pickle, and that's why they had pickle in their names. Yep. So that's why there's a pickle on Dinar Dater's site, and there's a guy holding a pickle.
And he invited you to do a conference call there. That's when I joined, was because I had to join the forum in order to listen in on the conference call.
Right. I met him through People's Dinar, and then I started hanging out on People's Dinar. And then I told him, I said, I'm going to start taking my posts, and I'll put them over here at People's Dinar if you're okay with it. He wanted to make me a mod, and I said, no, I don't want to be a mod, but I'll tell you what, I'll comment, and if you need anything, I'll help you out with what you need, and I'll just bring my posts over here. And if there's anybody that comments or has any questions, then I'll address that. And the thing I liked about Dinar Dater is that you were free to do whatever it is you wanted to do, and you could say anything, and even if Chuckles disagreed with it, he wasn't afraid to let it stand.
Right.
So he would take your opinion, and he wasn't afraid of your point of view. And it's because he didn't have any money to lose on it. He wasn't making money off of this stuff, and none of us were really. So but he was a good guy. I miss him to this day. So
yeah. Now I did actually make some money from my blog, but I lost money on the Dinar, so I didn't feel guilty about making a little money back.
Yeah. So it was a wash.
But I came out ahead a little bit, but I never took an ad. I mean, I never sold ad space to a Dinar dealer or anything like that. Everything that I made was off of Google AdSense.
Right. Well, I had ads on my site, but my ads were placed there by WordPress, and WordPress got all the revenue for that. And there was nothing.
I didn't know you had ads.
Yeah, it was video ads towards the bottom of a post, and but I had no control over that. I had the free version of WordPress, and that's how they recouped their money.
I see.
But I had no control over the ads they put there. Now, just recently, we've updated the blog. I went and spent some money on my blog that I never spent money on. And I bought a package for the next couple of years and removed all the ads. There's not going to be any ads on the site whatsoever. And I've made room for you. I've got a bunch of storage space. Now I can put podcasts on. So the site's going to continue, and it's going to go on from here. And now we're merging your site in with my site, and you have full administrative privileges. So
kind of. I mean, it's still technically your site, but I have a lot of archives there, and I'm going to have the authority to post from time to time.
Yeah, well, you're going to have a lot of say in what goes on over there, more than what you know. So it's going to be a 50-50 joint venture. I mean, I'm not going to do anything without your consent, and vice versa. So we'll talk about things and get it released, and so it's just as much the way I feel about it. It's just as much your site now as it is mine, and so that's my point of view on the matter. But there was one point when I was actually ready to leave the Dinar community. I was done with everything. I wanted to move on to bigger and better things. It's been a while since I posted anything. And then you sent me a video. Struck me back into the abyss. Do you remember that video?
Are you talking about Stryker?
No. There's a video that these guys made for some dealer, and it talked about how Japan's current.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Japan.
So I sucked you back into the thing, did I?
You did with that video. I was so mad because that video that went on about how Japan's currency revalued, and this is how all these guys made money off it in the 80s.
All lies.
The Kuwaiti revalue, and it was showing these floating currencies as revaluing when only paid, and then of course the object of the video is to buy dinar from these people, and I was so mad because it was some pretty blatant lies, and some of the lies were the same things that sucked me in. And so I decided, all right, and it's on now. And that's when I posted my 40 facts post.
And then Stryker.
And then Stryker came after because he tried to rebut the 40 facts, and he kept on calling me bozo through the rebuttal. Do you remember that?
Yeah. This is what I remember. I'd forgotten what instigated the whole thing.
Yeah, it was that video that started everything up because I was done. I walked away. I wasn't going to ever post again. I was going to leave the site up for anybody who was searching and wanted answers for certain things. But when I seen that video, I knew my work wasn't done, and I was mad enough to where, okay, we're going to go toe-to-toe now, and we're going to do some debating. So the gloves came off then, and I put the 40 facts out, and then Stryker released a couple of videos to rebut it. And I always got along with Stryker when over in Dinar Vets, because he used to go to Dinar Vets, and I've talked with him on occasion over there, and I liked the guy. He was an all right guy, but for some reason he didn't like this. And I know in the first video he released, he had to do something about the 40 facts because he talked about people leaving his site, and some lady called and screamed at him saying, "Remove me from your list." And he said, "I think I'm going to take my time removing her." So I knew that the 40 facts made its way to Stryker, and he had to respond.
Right. Yeah. He had a lot of fires to put out.
He had a lot of fires to put out, and so I don't really blame him per se. I still thought he was a decent guy. He's a family man. It's funny though. He called me a liberal. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not a liberal. But anyway, I responded to him with a clarification of the 40 facts, and the whole time during the first post and his response, he called me bozo. So I found the biggest picture of Bozo the clown I could, and I put it on the second post. And at the end of the post, I put a Bozo the clown punching bag. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But that sucked me back in, and then I hooked up with Baghdad Invest, and Baghdad Invest began to take my post and copy them to his site, and we talked to him.
We had a 3-way conference call.
Yeah, we had a couple of them.
Yeah,
and he's a really interesting guy. It was neat to call him. We called him Mo. I know that's not his real name, but we would call him Mo.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this guy was he wasn't that interested in the dinar.
No.
His interest was rebuilding Iraq.
Right.
He was really pro Iraq, pro. He was really hoping to see it succeed and see the country come back after war. Right. And he kept hearing people talk about the dinar. And he at that point, I think he realized there's more interest in the dinar than there is in rebuilding Iraq.
Right. And when he put his first few posts on his site, his traffic went through the roof.
Right.
And that's when I started talking about it. Well, see, some of the same guys that commented on your site made their way over to Baghdad Invest, and I made my way over to Baghdad Invest and talked to him. And
well, I think they found out about Baghdad Invest because he did a post where he said that the RV had happened and it was like 37 cents and there was dancing in the streets and everything. And the reason he did that was to see how many gurus would confirm his intel.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then after all these gurus said, yeah, it's the same information I've got.
And made us way around the circle.
And then he said, I made it up.
Yeah.
And he said, I just wanted to show everybody, how phony these gurus are.
Right.
It was all a trick. And I kind of got a kick out of it. I thought about doing something like that myself, but I didn't want to be responsible for people buying more dinar.
Right, exactly.
But when he did that, I posted something about it, and I got a good chuckle out of it. And a lot of people, learned about him and started going over there and commenting on his side. And he was going like gangbusters for about a half a year there. And I got tired of it.
He had crazy traffic, and then he got tired of keeping up with everything.
Yeah,
and then he got served too. So
did he really?
By the same people that served us.
No, I think he was threatened. I don't think he ever.
No, he was in conversation with him. Same law offices.
I didn't realize that. Mm-hmm. How about that?
Yeah. So that's when he decided to tame things down a bit.
Yeah, and he had that other guy who claimed he was an insider with the CBI. Mm-hmm. And this guy was predicting the redenomination was going to happen on a certain date.
Well, we figured out he was taking stuff from my site and posting it over there.
Exactly.
and his IP address gave him the location of Glasgow, Ireland. And I thought that was interesting because Ireland was the place where the dinar was leaving. But I never really believed this guy was who he said. But he gave a date. And, if we're going to give gurus the benefit of the doubt and wait until the date to see if it happens, let's give this guy the benefit of the doubt to see if his redenomination date happens until that time. And then you can say, this guy's a fraud.
Yeah.
If he makes a prediction that's wrong, after it's wrong, then harp on him, not before.
Right. Yeah. I'd forgotten about a lot of this stuff. This is really, because that was about 2-3 years ago?
I think it was 2013, 2014. It wasn't really all that long ago. It was long enough, though. I mean, because probably 1.5 to 2 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
So...
Yeah. Well, maybe Mo can contact us and
maybe we can
fill us in on that.
Now that we're doing podcasts, we got to have some interviews with some of the friends that we have had in the Dinar community, and we can have Enoch on and a few other people that we have become friends with during the Dinar thing.
Enoch was one of the better. I wouldn't call him a guru. Well, some people would call him a guru, but what Enoch did was he would look at stuff and try to make sense of it. Now, he wasn't like some of these guys and he just come right out and said, well, this is what they mean, or this is what they're going to do. Enoch was more like, he would just give you his analysis about all the different things that it could mean and all the different ways that it could happen.
Yeah.
But eventually he came to the conclusion that there's no way it's going to happen. And he sold his dinar and he got out.
Right.
And that's what people with integrity do. They don't just hang around year after year and keep on promoting the scam. Once they figure it out, they move on. And Enoch's a good guy.
Right. And the only reason why we haven't moved on is because of the traffic to our sites and we're not making any money off our sites, so traffic's not really that important. But the traffic that came and the people who were being warned and the feedback about, I was going to buy dinar until I saw your site, or help me because whatever. I've gotten all kinds of information. You would not believe the amount of people who've taken money out of their 401k to buy this stuff with. I mean, they've taken substantial amounts out of their retirement to buy dinar with. There's a few people that sent me different emails, and they told me the story that they work for a small company, and the company took their retirement and invested it in the dinar.
Unbelievable.
And when they were taking things from my site and bringing it to the bosses of the company. And when the bosses couldn't answer the question, they told their employee, you need to worry about whatever. Let us worry about retirement or whatever. So to me, it was like, gosh, these are the reasons why I kept the site up for so long. I remember one comment somebody said, well, you do protest too much. And the reason why I protested is because it was a warning sign. Now, if I didn't have the traffic and if I didn't have the amount of people coming here that I had, I probably would not have left the site up as long as I did. But I'm hoping it saved a lot of people because I was influential in getting people in buying dinar. I hope that my site is 20 times more effective in warning people than it ever was about encouraging this investment. And that's why the site is still up.
Yeah, I felt like it had pretty much run its course when I shut the blog down back in, when was it? March, I think, of this year.
Right.
2015, because I think by the time you air this, it'll be 2016.
Yeah.
But I wasn't getting much feedback anymore. My traffic was down, and I thought, well, everybody's pretty much caught on now. I think I'm going to just move on, shut the blog down.
Right.
But when I did that, there was nowhere for people to go except your site.
Right. Right.
So you found out that there were people still, coming into this. I couldn't believe that people were still learning about the dinar and coming in
Right.
after everything that had happened.
There are people who've, believe it or not, have not heard about the dinar. But now it's different because in 2010, when we found out about it, we looked in search engines. There wasn't that much information out there warning people about it. But now when you search dinar, my site comes up, a few other sites come up, the indictments against some of these currency dealers come up. So it's not one of these things that, this information wasn't around in 2010 when we purchased dinar.
Right. Yeah, we had to dig and scratch and claw for every morsel of information that we could find.
And it was work.
Yep.
It was work. I remember when I was a kid, I walked to school and snow up to my belly button, uphill both ways,
Yeah, and it does sound kind of like
it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
You guys don't know how easy you've got it.
Right.
Back 3-4 years ago, we didn't have this information.
No, we didn't. We didn't. We had to dig for it. And
if you asked at some of these forums, they would lie to you. What happened with the Kuwaiti dinar? Well, there's a lot of people made a lot of money. Yeah, but where's the information on
right?
That? And they said, well, it's all over the place. I'm not going to do your research for you.
Right.
But they would say stuff like that to encourage, because if a dinar forum owner came out and told you there was no RV
or Kuwaiti,
right? They're going to lose half their membership.
Yes, they will. That was one of the main selling points.
So they didn't want the facts to come out.
No, they didn't.
They liked to keep people, misinformed, so that they would, hold on to hope.
Right, and this is why so many people got banned. The people who were asking questions, or too many questions, got banned. Eventually, our friend Dustin Hayes got banned. So he taught me a lot of important things, and this is a guy that was a contractor in Iraq, and we remember his story where people were talking to him about the revalue of the currency, and he's what revalue, and he gets online and begins to read about it. And, he's one of the ones I learned that the dollar is king in Iraq, not the dinar. People want dollars. They don't even want dinar over here.
Right.
And he was a contractor that was actually over there.
Yeah, an interesting thing about Dustin Hayes is he was actually making money on the dinar.
Right.
Because he was over there and he had dinar in the bank drawing, I don't know, like 8% interest, something like that. And he said, if you're over here and you've got dinar in the bank, you can make money off of it. But he said, if you're over there paying a 20% markup, you're going to lose money.
Right.
That was funny. The one guy who was actually making money on the dinar was debunking the RV. I just think that's really ironic.
It is ironic. It's one of those really strange twists to everything.
This is a production of Iraq Currency Watch. Any views expressed by guests of this show may not reflect the views of Iraq Currency Watch or the host. The views expressed by the host are opinions reached after countless hours of research and years of exposure to the dinar community. We ask that everyone do their own research regarding any investment, including the dinar. Thank you for listening to this podcast from Iraq Currency Watch.